This is Caitlin, your host of the NoSleep4Dramas Podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. And we are back with another Break with Variety podcast episode, and this is going to be a little different. It's a list. A lot of people love lists. I love lists, you love lists. Everybody loves lists where I give you recommendations. And I know a couple of people has asked for this list for a while, whether you're new to dramas or you have been watching dramas for a very long time, like myself. Sometimes when you're a drama watcher, you don't branch out into things. You might only stick to one country, or you might only stick to just the dramas and don't go into K-pop, or you might just stick to the dramas and never go into variety shows. And then maybe one day you learn your favorite actor or favorite K-pop singer is on a variety show or a reality TV show, and you try it out and you like it, and then you have no idea what to watch next because you want to explore more. This is what this list is for. I've had a couple people who have recently found variety shows or reality TV shows, depending on... Here's the thing. So I say variety shows, and I'm fully aware that variety shows is a certain thing. I kind of see it as like you have the overarching label of variety shows, and then underneath it is the different genres. You have variety shows where actors and actresses or singers go on to that particular show and promote the current drama they're starring in or the current album they just dropped. That's one variety show. Then you have a reality TV show where it's put a bunch of people in a house and they're competing for something, or they're trying to find love or something. That's still a variety show, but it's under reality TV. That's kind of how I view it. I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand the genre, but I feel like variety show is the overarching umbrella, and then there's some genres underneath it of like K-pop specific stuff, or promoting your newest album or drama, or romance, or sports, or traveling. Like there's a bunch of subgenres. Which is why when somebody dives into variety shows and reality TV shows, they have no idea what to watch next, or they don't know where to start. I'm hoping that this list will kind of give you some idea and recommendations. And also I'm kind of going to stick in here my personal strategies and what I did in finding variety content and reality TV shows that I like. If you have been a longtime reader of my blog, I wrote a list of my favorite variety shows at the time when I started the blog, which was back in 2020. This is going to kind of be an updated version. I'm still going to reference that list. I'm also going to reference some of the other lists I have done on the blog over the years. And then you can now go to the blog and read my newest list that I released that will also have the shows that I mention here in this podcast episode. The podcast episode will be a collection of all of the shows that I have talked about in these 4 or so blog posts. First, let's talk about myself. Over the years, I started with dramas. I then started with Korean dramas. Then I branched out into other countries. I also got into K-pop. And then after watching all the dramas, maybe watching some music shows due to K-pop, I decided I wanted to try out some reality or variety shows. And I personally do not think I'm well versed in them. I mean, as I explained, I still do not really know the definition between variety show and reality TV, and I'm constantly getting corrected online on like, oh no, that's not a variety show, that's reality TV. I don't know. So this is my own interpretation of what a reality TV versus variety show is. I think everybody's kind of correct in the interpretation where overarching name is a variety show, but then underneath that umbrella you have different genres where you could still have a variety show where they go on promote stuff. I see that as more of a variety show, but then you have reality TV where they find romance or compete for some money or whatever. And then you have travel shows and fashion shows. They have tons of different stuff. I also don't think I am well versed in them because I literally have stuck to the specific themes and genres I know I like. And I've always wanted to branch out and try other ones, but there's so many of the genres that I like personally that I still have not watched, that I have not gotten to the branching out part of that. But I don't know. I'm making this list because there's people who might not even know what I'm talking about when I say variety or reality show. So I always learn better with examples. Today, we're going to talk about my favorite variety shows, what I liked in 2020, and then add on newer stuff that I have watched since 2020. As I said, there's blog posts up about this. You can go to my blog currently and read the newest blog post and have the links in that blog post to the older blog post, so you don't have to go searching through my blog. Before we get to the list, I also want to discuss why I like variety shows, reality shows. I tend to not like American reality TV. I tend to not to like a lot of American TV in general. We know this. It's a common thing when it comes to Asian drama watchers. You try to go back to American TV or British TV and whatever country TV you're watching, and it just doesn't hit the same. What is funny about me is I have never really liked American reality TV. Depending on what I'm watching, I'm still a huge House Hunters and Food Network watcher, but that's pretty much it. And I don't really know if that's really considered reality TV in America. When I'm talking about like American reality TV, it's the Bachelor, Bachelorette, Real Housewives, that type of reality TV. I've never really been a fan of that type of reality TV. For some reason, that same setup in Asian reality TV works so well for me, and I still have not quite 100% understood why. One reason why I like Asian reality TV is because sometimes you're just way too tired to think and try and watch a drama that has a lot of moving parts and a lot of characters. So you need to turn something on that is kind of mindless to watch. The reality TV show, to me, fits that bill. It's very easy to pick up. You can kind of choose shows that you don't need to watch the entire series. You can just watch an episode or two and then kind of go and watch another thing, because some of these are built in a way of there's a new topic every episode. It's not connected to the previous episodes. You don't even have to watch them in order. Some of them are like, we feature a new person or a new guest every episode. So if you don't like the guest in that particular episode, you can skip it and go to a person you know. That type of thing, which is one of the strategies I'm going to talk about. It pertains to that. Second reason I love Asian reality TV or variety shows is food. I love food. And I mean, as I said, I'm an avid watcher of the Food Network here in the US. I love everything having to do with food and Asian reality shows. There's a lot of Asian reality shows about food. I tend to gravitate towards those. Third, I have found of the Asian variety shows, reality shows that I have watched, they tend to be more wholesome and less angsty. It becomes a comfort watch for me. And I usually tend to like binge these when I don't have a lot of time, which is mostly in the winter before the new year starts. And I just wrap myself in a blanket and I binge watch my particular variety reality TV show. There's not a lot of drama that usually happens, at least in the ones that I watch, and I'll talk about specific ones in my list. American reality TV, one of the reasons why I didn't like The Bachelor or Real Housewives or anything like that is like they're always yelling at each other. No one really seems to be yelling at each other in at least the Asian variety content I watch. And they tend to get along better and be friends. There is still some drama that happens, but I just don't think it's as much or as high intensity as what I have been exposed to here in the US. Fourth, another reason why is there's a lot of different types of Asian variety reality shows. You're bound to find something you love. If you don't really know where to start and you know you like food, and let's say you try 4 or 5 different food reality TV shows, variety shows, you're bound out of those 5 you try to find one you like and to continue watching. I mean, and there's a lot of topics that you can, and a lot of personalities that you find on these shows. You kind of just hop around, see what you like, and then when you find one you like, you binge it. And let me tell you, I can binge these really easily if I like them a lot. I mean, they're addictive in some way, depending on the show for me. You're bound to find something you like, and then once you do, you find the genre or you find a host you like some of these shows have panelists that are across multiple seasons, or judges. You can gravitate towards people. I mean, there's definitely different types of things that you can attach to, and then find other shows with these same people on it, because some of these celebrities make their entire career about being hosts on these types of variety and Asian reality TV, depending on the show. You could definitely follow people through shows. Again, there's different strategies on this. For example, I knew that I loved Asian variety shows or reality TV shows that put people in houses for a set amount of time, and then they either try to find a romantic partner or try to be friends or try to work a coffee truck. For some reason, I love that setup in an Asian reality show. I have watched multiple shows like that, whether they're trying to find a romantic partner or they're just trying to exist for 3 months in a house. It fascinates me, and I love them, and I have not been let down with that concept in the 4 or 5 different shows I've watched, and I have many more that I have yet to watch. My strategy when finding shows, there's 2 or 3 ways that I have a strategy about this. You could like an actor, and then you decide that you want to see more of that actor outside of a drama setting, and you find out that they are a guest on a variety show. Okay, well, where have they been featured? Go watch that episode. And then if you like their episode, try out some other episodes. If you like that setup, if you like the way that show featured that actor or that singer, try other episodes of that same show with other people you may recognize and know. And then if you really like the show, then you can watch all the episodes. That's one way. You follow the people into variety shows, or if it's a drama, there's a couple dramas I'm going to name where they have featured entire casts and built a special reality show around that cast. If you know that there's a variety show out there that has a cast that you loved from a drama that you watched, go and watch that variety show. Then you'll know you might like, oh, I like this travel show where they sent the cast off to another country for 2 weeks as like a reward vacation. Cool, I'm going to find travel variety shows, you know? That's one way. That's one strategy of dipping your toes in. Another strategy I kind of mentioned is genre. If you already know you like food shows from Food Network, or just you're watching food dramas, go find a variety show, reality TV show surrounded about food. There's tons of them in Korea, China, whatever. I mean, there's one I love that I'll talk about, where I'll talk about some because I don't want to spoil what's on my list, but there's people who travel around Korea or China tasting regional foods. That's one show. There's people who cook food in their house and show off their recipes and their daily recipes on specific variety shows. There's people who the entire show is they go to restaurants in their neighborhood and show that restaurant. There's shows that I'm going to mention that have chefs. There's celebrity chefs that come onto these shows. So, or you might like, let's say, fashion. There's definitely shows out about fashion. People might bring their closet into this variety show and say, hey, I have this stuff, make me an outfit that works. Or if you're curious about, I found a really interesting one that I want to watch. I haven't seen it, but they feature people's jobs. So they follow this regular, normal person, not a celebrity, in their job for a day, and you get to see different occupations in Korea. Those are like options. You kind of find a genre you like, and then you search around the typical, like, what you can find and see what shows you like. And then if you tend to like a show, if you find a food show you like, you can watch all their episodes, you know? Another question I got is, where do I watch variety reality shows? When I go through my list, I will say where I've watched them, and I'll explain that further. But I watch a lot of them on Viki. Viki has a ton of them, especially Korean. Amazon Prime has a lot of them as well. I think you kind of need the Cocoa subscription for Amazon Prime, though. Maybe Viki, but I know Viki has a lot. In terms of Chinese stuff, I kind of stick to the network. So iQIYI makes their own. I go to iQIYI to watch theirs. Tencent makes their own. I go and watch theirs on the respective one. Netflix has started getting into them now, so I've watched some on Netflix. It really depends on what you have. What is some other strategies? I think that's pretty much the three I have. Then that's how I started, is pick a favorite actor or cast, pick a genre. Sometimes I kind of just browse what seems interesting to me on a network too. And also what's interesting is, if you like a specific show and you know it's popular, let's say you Google it and you read that, like, oh, it's super popular. Sometimes if it's popular in one country, like let's say Korea, 3 or 4 years later, China will make its own version, or vice versa. Korea has also copied. So sometimes you'll find, like, some of these romantic reality TV shows, you'll find a Korean version, and then you'll go onto iQIYI and find that they have their own version. So that is how I've also discovered some things, is you'll have the same setup in different countries, but it's the exact same variety show or reality TV show, which I'll mention too. That's some of my strategy when it comes to finding and liking the variety shows I like, and that's also some of my background when it comes to what I like. We're gonna dive into this list. I'm gonna first go through what I already had on my blog, and then we will get into my new updated list. The first one I'm going to talk about, these older ones, I'm not quite sure if you can still, I live in the USA, so this might be different. I'm not quite sure if they're still going to be available. Depends. I'll tell you where I originally watched them, but they might not be there anymore because it has been 4, 5, 6 years since I've watched them. The first one is Dangerous Beyond the Blankets. This is a variety show that was my first variety show. The first one I tried. I honestly don't really know why I picked this as my first one. I think it was because I liked some of the cast members, but I also liked the concept. The concept basically is you stick a bunch of famous homebodies, celebrities who are known to be homebodies, in one house, and then they have to stay together in that house for a certain period of time. I personally am a homebody myself. I love being at home. I kind of felt like I could relate to these people. It also was hilarious seeing these homebodies who usually liked living by themselves and being by themselves live with other people for like a week, maybe 2. I can't remember how long it was. It's like a relatable but heartwarming, hilarious show that really entertained me, which is why I wanted to watch more. The variety show introduced me to new people because not everybody in the cast I knew about. Kang Danielle is in this. He's a K-pop solo star. Jumin from EXO is on this show. Loco is on this show. And a couple actors. There was the guy from Marry My Husband, the crappy fiance, the actor who plays that guy, he's on this show. And then there was the guy who plays, what drama was he in? He was in, he played a doctor and he turned out to be evil. I can't remember the show. I'm not going to remember the guy, but there's another actor on here that if you're a Korean drama watcher, you'll recognize him. I think I knew 5 of the 7 people that were featured on this show. I learned about like the 2 or 3 people I didn't know, and then I also learned more about the people that I already knew about. What I like watching about these variety reality TV shows is you learn more about people you already like, about their personal lives or their daily lives or their habits or their food taste, whatever. You learn more about what they do outside of the dramas or the music they make, which I always appreciate and I'm always entertained by. I found just because the show literally was these people living together in a house and not leaving. They rarely left their house, the house that they were put in. I found it nice and relaxing to watch because you just see them living together, interacting together, cooking together. I loved the cooking parts. I think I've rewatched this multiple times. I haven't rewatched this in a while though. And when I first watched it, it literally was a binge for me during the weekend. And I think I watched this in like 2018, 2019, something like that. That was the Korean variety reality TV show Dangerous Beyond the Blankets. The next one I'm going to talk about is technically it is two, but it's the same show. I'm going to talk about Heart Signal. I am obsessed with this show to the point where like I'm avoiding watching all the seasons. I always have a season to watch. I'm obsessed. I honestly have no idea how I got into it. I think it was one where I fell into it during COVID in 2020 where I had nothing to watch and I was in my house because I was isolating myself from everybody and I was like, okay, I've never seen this show. I'm gonna go watch it. I've seen one or two of the Korean seasons, and I think I've seen at least 2 or 3 of the Chinese seasons. There's like 7 Chinese seasons of this, and I think we're up to season 5, I think, of the Korean. And I know I've seen season 2 and 3 of the Korean one, and I want to say I've seen season 1, 2, and 3 of the Chinese one. Either way, I've seen a lot of seasons of these. And I've binged them all. I can't put them down. If I watch them, I literally watch them in a week. I don't know how it happens because these episodes are long. These episodes are an hour and a half. At least the Korean version. I can't remember how long the Chinese version is, but I want to say it's at least an hour. I have no idea why. It depends on the season though. There are some seasons that I like the Chinese better than the Korean, and there's other seasons that I like the Korean better. They're not the same. They have completely new casts, completely different judges and panelists. It's not like they take the Chinese people after their season and move into a Korean house. That's not how it works. It's a completely separate show. There's been some seasons I kind of saying, okay, I watched season 1 of the Korean version and watched season 1 of the Chinese version. Which season did I like more? Let's say I liked the Chinese version better. I don't know. I never thought, like, with how I am with romance dramas in general, I never thought I would like this show. I never thought. I was bored, and I was like, I'm just going to try it. The obsession I have with this show is ridiculous. I legit cried at certain seasons, and I become severely invested in the outcome of some of these couples throughout the seasons. It is ridiculous, now that I think about it, how invested I get in this show. Basically what this show is they take a bunch of strangers, I think it's 7 or 8 strangers, and they put them under one roof. And these people live in this same house for like a month, like 30 days or so. And then you have a bunch of panelists, celebrity panelists. They bring actors and MCs and famous people on to be the panelists who comment on what happens in these episodes every week. And it's kind of like if you saw The Boyfriend from this year, the Japanese show, which I'll talk about later, it's that setup. The panelists and everything. Just think of that, but it's Chinese or Korean, depending. And it's also heterosexual. This is not a gay show. It's all heterosexual couples. It is fascinating how invested I am in this. Yeah, I got so invested. I want to say the Chinese have 7 seasons. No, they're up to 8 already. Oh, 7 aired this year. They're going to have a 8th season, apparently, according to MDL. I think Korean's up to 6, I want to say. This started in like 2019, 2020, something like that. I can't remember what. At least the Chinese version. I think the Korean version came first. They were 2017, 2018. And then because it got really popular, China started its own version. And because the China version aired, I think it's the one I watched was the Tencent version. iQIYI and Mango and everybody else did their own version of this. There's like 5 different Chinese versions depending on the network. I watched the Tencent version because it's on Viki, or it was when I watched this. There's a lot. There's a lot to watch. Korean, I think, is up to season 6, I want to say. Is it only 4? It might have been 4. I thought it was 5, at least 5. Maybe it's only 4. Well, China did a lot more. Either way, I love Heart Signal. I'm obsessed with this show. And again, I never thought I would like it. If you are a romance person, you need to try this show. It's ridiculous how romantic it can get when you have strangers living in a house together. And sometimes even depending on how popular the cast gets, they even have like after reunion shows or people who just became friends on the show and weren't romantically related coming back and doing 6 or 7 episodes together just talking about the show. So even depending on the cast and if you like them, they even have reunion shows and spin-offs and stuff like that. And I've even watched some of those depending on if I like the cast or not. That was Heart Signal. There's Chinese and a Korean version. I've watched multiple seasons on Viki depending on the show. And depending on the country, both Chinese and Korean. I think you can find all the other ones on the respective Chinese sites. I want to say all of the Tencent ones are on Viki, though. I want to say that. Not this year's, but at least up to season 6, I think, is on Viki. And I want to say at least the first 3 seasons are on Viki of the Korean version, but I could be wrong. That was Heart Signal. The next one I'm going to talk about is a food-related variety show called 3 Meals a Day. This is a Korean variety show. I have not seen all of these seasons because for me, at least in the US, at least in 2020 when I wrote this originally, it was very hard to find seasons of this, and I don't think that has changed. I think it's even gotten harder to find seasons of these. I want to say I watched at least 1 season on Viki, and then I found another one randomly on YouTube. I know I've watched at least 2 of these. It's really simple. You have a group of celebrities, mostly it's actors I've seen, at least the seasons I've watched, it's mostly actors and actresses. You stick them in a house in the countryside somewhere, and they cook together. They cook in a rural area, and that's about it. And it depends on where they are. Sometimes they've been at a house in a fishing village. They eat a lot of seafood, and then sometimes they're in a mountain area, and that changes what they're eating. And sometimes they're in more of a city setting, but a suburb, basically. And sometimes it's just out on the countryside near the rice fields. It depends on where they are and what ingredients they can get their hands on. But they really are just in a house. They have to build a fire themselves. They have to make these meals themselves. It might be during the summer, it might be during the winter. Depends. And I've loved it. And you might have guests that come out. You have staple cast members every season, and then you have guests that come out for like the day or the weekend or something. I don't remember how long they live there. I think it's a month at least, maybe. I'm not positive. But there's multiple seasons of this show. I think it's like at least 6. I want to say one's currently airing, honestly, somewhere, but I don't have access to it. But there's at least 6 of these that have been airing. But that's basically the concept. You have a lot of these different personalities and a lot of generations too. There's some older men and women, and then there's younger men and women who come together and cook. So it's kind of like you have some jokes and funny moments where it's like these older actors have no idea what these younger actors are talking about, and vice versa. I love these because of the food. It's really interesting what they make and who makes what. And they make 3 meals a day. So you're watching them make dinner, breakfast, dinner, lunch, And then they also sometimes, depending on the season, they're taking care of something. One season I watched, they're on a farm. They have to take care of the animals on the farm. They have to go milk the cow or feed the goats or whatever, depending. In the fishing village, they might have to go catch their own fish. It depends on where they are and what the setup is. But it's primarily just them living in a house in the countryside, cooking. And that's pretty much it. I love it. I love it so much. That's how obsessed I am with food shows. Another one that I wrote in my original blog post is a variety show, reality TV show, not quite sure, called Little House in the Forest. I think I originally watched this on Viki. It only has 2 people in it. And the concept of this is you had a house that was off the grid. They had no electricity, whatever, no Wi-Fi. And these 2 actors would live in the house for 2 days, 3 nights, or 3 days, 4 nights, something like that. And it was a self-sufficient house. You had no electricity, gas, or not public. You did, but it wasn't publicly accessible. But they were powered by solar panels, and you only had an ice box for a fridge. And the point was for these 2 actors was to live off the grid for 3 or 4 days and kind of discover something about themselves and reflect and think, and keep a diary and whatever. I don't know what it was about this show, but I was super comforted by it, relaxed by it. I don't know. I would watch this really late at night or after a hard day's work somewhere, and I would just be the shots of nature and the food they were making and the conversations they had with themselves reflecting just was really relaxing to me. And it's only 10 episodes long, so it was really short, and it stars Park Shin-hye from the currently airing almost done K-drama Judge from Hell, and then Soju Sub was the other actor in it. I don't know. I clicked play on this randomly. I didn't know I was going to like it as much as I did. I watched it on Viki, as far as I know. It was so relaxing, and it didn't have any angst. It was very de-stressing because they were off the grid and had no stress or whatever. I don't know. It was unexpected. It was an unexpected show that I love to watch. And it has 2 celebrities. That's also really fun to see them. It was interesting to see what they thought about and what they wrote about in the 2 or 3 days that they were out there. Beautiful nature shots, I will say, too. It was really nice to watch. 2 more from this original list. Road to Kingdom. I'm a huge K-pop person. I've watched every competition show, almost every competition show at this point. All of the Road to Kingdom or Kingdom shows, Queendom, the Boys Planet, Girls Planet shows. I personally like Road to Kingdom a lot, or Kingdom, because it takes existing groups, and whether they're underrated or not, or new or old, that type of thing, I like the concept of them going onto these shows and experimenting and showing another side of them. And when you're a fan of these groups already going onto this show, it's a lot of fun to watch. I'm a severe multi-stan. I listen to everybody and watch everybody. I don't really have a favorite going into these because I just cheer on everybody, and that's always fun for me because I don't have to. I don't vote. Some of these shows you have to vote. You vote. I don't vote. I just watch it and kind of cheer on whoever I want to cheer on and have fun with it, basically. Road to Kingdom or Kingdom, depending on the show. You have a bunch of these groups that already exist, participate in making songs and making performances and coming onto the show and performing them and then getting people to vote for them, and then there's one winner at the end. Same with Queendom, same with Kingdom. It's the whole concept. So they're not making a new group. They're just taking the members they already got, come up with a new concept of that theme for that week, make a song. They're making their own song. They're making their own choreography. They're doing everything for this show, going onto the show, performing that performance and then figuring out through people going in and voting who has won that round. And then eventually some groups are eliminated, and then there's one group that wins at the end. Am I still stressed when I watch it? Yes, because I get super into the competition, even with Boys Planet and Girls Planet. I don't vote though. It helps a lot with, at least with the Girls Planet and Boys Planet is different because it's individuals trying to get into a group, whereas this is just established groups trying to be the number one group in that season. It helps when it comes to Road to Kingdom or the Kingdom and Queendom. Is I'm a fan of all these groups already. I just like watching them perform. And then you also get the added bonus of seeing these groups interact with each other through backstage or practice, or sometimes they perform together. That's always fun. I always love watching groups interact with each other. And then you get reunions after the show. Some of these members get to know each other very well, and then they're friends for years later. And then, of course, you get these amazing performances that you get to watch every week. I look forward to these shows. I love especially the shows that bring on already existing groups that kind of showcase these groups that need more people to listen to them and or rookies or something. I love these types of shows. But the reason I like them so much is I'm a fan of every group that's been on there. I do not have a favorite usually. And also, you get the songs they create on Spotify and Apple Music. If you liked a particular song that they make, you can probably go find it and stream it. Because in other seasons, that's how they did some of the points, is if you could get a certain number of streams with that particular song, that added to your points or not. A lot of these songs are on Spotify and Apple already. And it's also curious how these groups would attack the theme or the challenge of the week through that performance. And because I was a fan of these groups already, I learned more about the groups. I grew to appreciate them more. I saw them be creative and go outside of their comfort zones with these challenges. Also, the hosts are great. I love the hosts. They always have either actor or other K-pop star be the host of these. Always fun seeing those people host because they also interact with the groups, and most of the time they're quite famous. For example, the currently airing one is Taemin with a bunch of these groups, and we all know how famous Taemin is. All these groups are really excited to have him as their host. Road to Kingdom is another variety reality TV show. I consider it variety reality TV. I don't know if other people do, but K-pop, under the umbrella of K-pop, you know? I consider like the competition K-pop shows to be a variety reality TV. It's like a competition variety show, reality TV show, that type of thing. The last one I'm going to talk about on this original list is a food-related one again called Delicious Rendezvous. Again, I wrote this in 2020. I watched it on Viki. I honestly don't know if this is still on Viki anymore. I didn't check. I loved this show. I don't know if it's over. I don't know if it's still airing, but I loved it when I watched it. And it's because I love food so much, and food is everything in this show. The concept of this show is you take a group of people. It has Bak Jung-won in it, who's a huge celebrity chef in Korea, and he's pretty much the main dude of this show. Huge celebrity chef. I'm going to get back to him again. And then every episode, he would bring on different singers, actors, like other celebrities of like 4 or 5 other people. And then they would go around Korea and go to different regions or go to different restaurants or go to different like rest areas or airports or railroad stations. Mostly go to these places where there's a lot of traffic going through them due to people traveling around the country. So it's a lot of times it is airports and rest stops and things. And they will figure out in those local areas what ingredients are popular there, what dishes are popular there, the local specials, and then they make them themselves. They learn it, they kind of do their own thing, and they sell them at these airports, rest stops, whatever. And then they have the people who eat them review it. You get to learn about these regional dishes. You get to learn about these rest stops. You get to learn about different regional Korean food. You get to see these celebrities interact with the people eating them and each other. It was extremely entertaining for me. And it was one of those shows where the whole purpose of the show is to get people who might not have ever gone to that area of Korea to know that there's this special delicious dish in that area, and it was to help these areas who have declining tourism or something get more people to go and visit that area again and help them out a little. They visit a different area, a different region every episode. It was very cool to see these hosts and these people go into this specific region and cook up recipes using the local produce and ingredients and recipes and then sell them in that area. And then sometimes when this show got more popular, they would take the food that they made in that region, take it to other parts of the country, introduce that food to the other parts of the country, and tell them where they got the original ingredients and the original food, which would make people go to that region and taste test other things and visit that region in terms of tourism. It was a way to get people to these more remote regions. I just thought that was really cool. And you got to see food that you might not have seen in K-dramas and things because they were the local dishes that people who might not even have been living in that local area have ever tried in their life. I think it just was a really, really great concept of a show. And then you got to see these people make these recipes and eat this food. And I just loved watching it every week. I think it's done now. I think it only aired for like 2 or 3 seasons, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And I remember there was a point where I was watching it every Friday night. Like a new episode was coming out every Friday night. And that would be my Friday night. It's an hour and a half long episode. And I would get dinner, I'd sit down and I'd watch it. And you can't watch it. Let me tell you right now, if you are watching a food-related variety show, reality TV show, you cannot watch them on an empty stomach or you will immediately need to eat something. Just say. As you can see, a lot of my favorites are surrounded by food because I like food a lot. A lot of the ones I watch are about food. I already talked about Heart Signal. Let's move on to the ones that are in the new blog post. I have 7 that I named, and what I wanted to do is the original list I just read off, I wrote in 2020, and from that time, maybe 2021, from that time to now, I definitely have watched other variety reality TV shows, and I wanted to update that list. This is what we're doing. This new list that I have now released on the blog, I've watched in the last couple years since I wrote that original list. These 7 shows I've watched in the last 4 years or so, 3 years. First one I'm going to talk about is Terrace House. This is a Japanese reality TV show. It can be found on Netflix. Not every season has all of their episodes on Netflix. You'll have to look up the season on MDL and then compare the number of episodes of MDL on Netflix, because I have found some of them have like, oh, it's 30 episodes on MDL, but they only have 20 episodes on Netflix. I don't know why. No idea. But I would say if you want to try this show out, watch one that matches the MDL number. It depends. There's a lot of seasons on Netflix, I'll tell you that. But I would just say check before you click play, because I made the mistake of clicking play on a season and then realizing I didn't have every single episode. I have not watched every season or every episode of even the seasons I watched of Terrace House. There's multiple seasons with many, many episodes. Some of these seasons went for like a year. There's multiple seasons. Of the episodes I have watched, though, I've loved. And I don't think, I read somewhere, I think, where they're not making this show anymore, but they were making shows up to 2021, I want to say, 2020. And I think partly it was because of the pandemic, but I think some other things happened where they just decided they weren't going to make it anymore. It's pretty much the concept where you have a bunch of people in the house and they live together. And sometimes they become friends, other times they might start dating. In this show in particular, they're not there in the house to just find love. They're just living in the house, and it kind of just what happens happens. There's not really a theme about it. It's just everyday strangers going to work, living in the house, and seeing what happened. And it's just the fact that people are watching me do this. For me, you can't help but become invested in these people's lives because they become friends, they find love, they might just experience the up and downs of life together in this house. And you become invested in what these people are going through, what friendships or what relationships they tend to have. And for me, this was another comfort watch where I kind of just was watching episodes wherever I wanted to, and I could watch somebody's else's life and not have to worry about mine, you know? It was kind of heartwarming. I really do need to watch more of this show. There's multiple seasons I haven't even watched, but it's of the things I've watched, I've really loved it a lot. You can also tell it's a Japanese reality show. You can kind of tell it was filmed differently because it has so many episodes and so many seasons. There's some older seasons. I want to say the first season was like 2016, 2015 maybe. And you also have a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different um ages and everything. It's really interesting to see who becomes friends, who starts dating. They even had a season during COVID, which I have not seen, but it's interesting to see. I want to say that was the last season, and I want to say something happened within that season, which is why they're not doing the show anymore, and I don't think they'll start it up again. But it's one of those where you should go back and watch it because it was such a good show. I think something happened with a cast member in the last. I didn't watch this season, so I have no idea. But if you watch The Boyfriend from this year, you'll recognize one of the hosts from Terrace House. He was on Terrace House as a host, as a panelist. When I watched The Boyfriend this year, I recognized him. I don't know the story of, I think something happened in the COVID season of Terrace House. But anyway, I highly recommend that. I've always liked that show. I've watched some of the older first seasons of the show. Next one, of course, since I just mentioned it, I have to recommend The Boyfriend that aired this year. This is a highlight of 2024 for me. You can watch all the episodes on Netflix. I even have a review of this up on the podcast, as well as I reviewed episodes. So I watched episode 1 through 3, did a review. Episode 4 through 6 or something, did a review. And then I did a final review. If you want to go back and listen to my episodes of The Boyfriend as you watch this show, please do. This is a gay dating show. It brought a group of gay men into a house together, and they lived together for like a month. The boyfriend had a purpose, though. They went to live in that house to find a boyfriend. Terrace House and other ones I've already mentioned, you might not have that objective. They just live together. But the boyfriend, they lived together to find a romantic partner. Sometimes that happened with some people, sometimes that did not. Sometimes they all became friends. They even had a reunion episode after the show ended, which was really fun. That's on YouTube, that they interviewed them. This was a phenomenon when it aired. Everybody was watching it, and as they should have. Like, it was a really entertaining show, and you really rooted for these 9 men who lived in this house. They ran a coffee truck together. They got to know each other. I was so invested in these 9 men and how they might end up, and if they became friends by the end. And I think the reason why I was invested is it reminded me of Heart Signal, which again, I talked about earlier. I got so invested in those seasons That's why I love The Boyfriend so much. It reminded me a lot of Heart Signal, at least with the setup. I'm addicted to Asian dating shows. I don't know what it is, but I adored this one as well. If you have not watched The Boyfriend, this will definitely be one of my favorite shows. I have at the end of the year on my lists of my favorite shows of 2024. If you have not watched The Boyfriend, please do. I can almost guarantee we're probably getting a season 2 of this because it was everywhere when it was airing in July or something. It's so good. And I really hope we get a second season. That's The Boyfriend. You can watch it on Netflix. Another one that I have grown to like, I kind of hop around on this one. It's called I Live Alone. It's a Korean show. It's on Viki, but not every episode is there because this show has over 500 episodes. I have not found a place where you can watch all 500 episodes, but you kind of just hop around and watch what you want. At least that's what I do. The concept of this show is you get a glimpse into celebrities' lives. They follow around celebrities and give glimpses into like daily lives of waking up, cooking at home, going to work, going on a run, whatever. The only thing they have to do is they have to live alone. It can't be a K-pop group where there's 6 members of this K-pop group living together. I'm sure that might have happened, but the whole concept of the show is I just moved into my place, let me go on this show, or I've been living alone for 6 years, let me be a guest on this show. And then you have a group of panelists who comment on the show on what they're watching along with the guest for that week. I kind of hop around. If I see an episode, I'd be really interested to see, I don't know, Taemin's house if he ever lives alone. Let me go watch him on this show. I mean, I kind of hop around. I don't watch every single episode. Most of the panel, too, most of the celebrities of the panel have been on the show for a long time. They've been judges, quote unquote judges, but panelists, commentary for the show for a really long time, to the point where they even have been guests on the show, where you follow them around in their daily lives, or they just move into a new place, they're gonna have an episode, that type of thing. And they're comedians. Some of them are comedians. You have a lot of comedy when it comes to the panelists. Some are K-pop idols, some are actors. It depends, but you do have a couple comedians on the panel. I like this show because you get to see what the celebrities do on a daily basis, like what they eat for breakfast. What do they take in their coffee? Do they work out? Do they sleep till noon? Are they promoting on a music show today, or are they on a break because they're not making music? Do they have to go to the studio? It depends on what they're doing. And sometimes if the episode's really popular, they'll have this guest come on multiple times. Also, this is the type of show where if this guest has a popular drama or has a popular song out, they'll be a guest on the show. Sometimes with this show, you'll have an actor or a singer who has never done a variety show, a reality TV show before, and then all of a sudden this is going to be their first show because they released a popular song or they were on a really popular drama that year or something. It's just really relatable because the celebrity might be a homebody or something, or they might be super active and you just get to see what they're eating or where did they go on their day off, you know? I don't know. For me, when I watch the show, it makes them, the celebrities featured on the show, make them more relatable to me. I have not watched every single episode of the show. There's no way. I kind of, as I said, I kind of hop around and just watch episodes of celebrities I'm curious about or I like. But I have many episodes that I still have not watched about this. That was I Live Alone. Kind of in the same vein, I know this show as The Manager, but it also is known as, I'm going to butcher this word, omniscient interfering view. I know as The Manager. It's kind of, again, one of those shows where you get a glimpse into a celebrity's life. I've watched it on Viki, but I know it's on Amazon Prime and Viki. It's the same setup as I Live Alone, though. Nowhere where you can watch every single episode. I think there's over 300 episodes of this show. but there's a lot of episodes on both of them. At least 50 or so. You can go and try this show out and then see if you like it. And then if you do, you have 50 or so episodes of you can scroll through and see if there's a celebrity or something you want to watch. This show, The Manager or Omniscient Interfering View, was an unexpected delight for me. I clicked play on this randomly when I found it. This concept of the show is the audience follows around the managers of the celebrities, not necessarily the celebrities. I Live Alone is following celebrities who live alone. This show is you're following the manager. You still see the celebrity, and the celebrity is still a guest on the show, but you're really getting the commentary and the thoughts of the manager and what the manager does for the celebrity. And sometimes with these celebrities, the manager is with them for years in their career. And sometimes you get like managers of K-pop groups. So I remember I watched one with like 17 and they have 13 members. You have this manager on the show trying to corral 13 members and trying to get them to where they need to go when they don't have the same schedule. You kind of learn the ins and outs of being a manager of an actor or a comedian or a K-pop group or somebody, you know? You have the commentary of both the actor or celebrity or whoever, and then you have the manager on the show. And what I love about this is they interview both of them. You get both of their perspectives, but you also tell that these people have worked together for years. And you can tell they have a really close relationship. Again, I have not watched every single episode of the show. I hop around and just watch who I think would be interesting to find out more or who I'm curious about. You also, again, have a panel of people who comment on the show as we're watching and ask questions to the celebrity and their manager in the episode, providing some comedy, but also there's just some really touching moments when it comes to this show that I was not expecting. I would recommend that show as well, especially just because you get a unique perspective of you're following the manager, you're not necessarily following the celebrity. The newest one that I am going to talk about, which I just completed in October, I released a review of this recently, but I had to include it in this list as well, and that is Culinary Class Wars. It's a Korean cooking competition show on Netflix. The first season aired this year. It became like #1 show on Netflix for multiple weeks in a row. They are doing a season 2, which I'm so excited for. I was obsessed with this show when I was watching it. I could have easily binged it, but I spread it out a bit. I didn't have to say goodbye right away. You can go back and listen to my full review of this show, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago. The concept of the show is you get 80 underdog cooks together to challenge these 20 or so celebrity chefs, and then you see who wins. They whittle down these 100 chefs between the celebrity and the underdog chefs to one winner. And you present them with challenges, both individual challenges, but also team challenges, or partner challenges, that type of thing. It's super cutthroat and really intense, and the competition is a lot, but you also have these really wholesome moments at the same time. As I said in my review, I wish there were more wholesome moments, but I do understand it's a competition. The concept is the underdog chefs are famous in their own region or neighborhood, kind of just your everyday chef, you know? And they go up against these celebrity chefs who are known in Korea for their expertise, their cuisine. They might have Michelin stars. Like, their job is to go and judge other food shows. These people have been cooking for 50 years or something. Really, really long time. And they have to compete against them and see who wins. It's intense and it's so good. You can't help at least for me, I couldn't help but root for the underdog chefs. I don't know what it was. I just loved watching them try to beat these celebrity chefs. And I also just loved watching the ideas that these chefs came up with the recipes and how they use their backgrounds to make the dishes, and if they had to use a specific ingredient, how every chef individually interpreted that ingredient into a dish. And it was just so cool, so great. especially with the creativity on the show. Also, this production was wild. The amount of money that Netflix put into this show was ridiculous. It was a large scale show. I can't even imagine what season 2 is going to be. If you like shows like Iron Chef or Chopped, you should really give this one a shot. It's entertaining. As I said, it was like number 1 on Netflix for multiple weeks in a row. It's going to be one of my top shows of 2024. I already know that. Please give this one a shot, especially if you like cooking shows or like cooking competition shows. All right, I have 2 more. One is kind of related to Culinary Class Wars, but not really. It's also another Korean cooking competition show. I have not watched this in a while, but I remember I liked it when I watched it. This show is called Please Take Care of My Refrigerator. Currently, right now, it is nowhere to be found. I watched it on Viki and Netflix at some point in the US, but they removed it. Apparently, this show is getting a revival due to Culinary Class Wars. This show was popular when it aired, but due to the popularity that Culinary Class Wars was this year, whoever made this show decided to revive it and reboot it because of Culinary Class Wars. Because the chefs, apparently all the chefs on Culinary Class Wars saw a uptick in their restaurants, people coming to their restaurants. Some people went viral for the recipes they did. I know this one guy did tiramisu using a convenience store ingredients, and a major convenience store brand wanted to buy that from him and put his name on it and sell it in their convenience store. Their recipes were going viral on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. It makes sense on why whoever made this show originally, whatever network would want to reboot it to kind of gain that momentum, you know? I think it ended in like 2019 or something. But the concept of this show is 2 celebrities. They did not have to be chefs. It could be actors, singers, whoever. 2 celebrities would bring their fridges to the studio of this show. So from home, take their fridge, ship it to the studio where the show was being filmed. And then the show would bring on 2 chefs or celebrities who were really known for their cooking from other variety shows. And so the celebrities who brought the fridges into the studio, they would talk about their fridge. They would be asked questions of, why do you have this ingredient? Why do you not have anything in your fridge? Why do you have so much kimchi? Just talk about what is in their fridge on a daily basis. You as an audience got a glimpse into these celebrities' fridges. And then these chefs or these celebrities that were known to be cooking that were brought on, the challenge for them was they were given a fridge, could only use what was in the fridge to make a dish. And they did not know which fridge belonged to whom. And then they would make this dish, and then the panel and the celebrity and the other chef would taste the dish, and then you would decide a winner at the end. The purpose of this, at least from what I remember, is the show would teach viewers about recipes. It would give tips about like food storage, all while giving a glance into this celebrity's fridge and what they liked and what they disliked about food and everything. And I personally enjoyed this show for 2 reasons. One, it kind of reminded me of Chopped. In Chopped, you get a basket and you have no idea what's in it. In this case, you get a fridge and you have no idea what's in it. And you have to make a dish out of it. But it was a lot of fun seeing what was in these fridges because you didn't know until you opened the door. And there were some crazy fridges on this show. And it was also fun just seeing what these chefs would come up with. And then on the panel, you would have comedians on there and funny hosts that would crack jokes and things during the show. And because this show was so popular, China actually did a long-running version of this show called Go Fridge or something. And that ended in 2021 or something like that. But you can still find those. I think that's on Tencent or iQIYI, whoever made it. I can't remember which one. But you can go onto their network and find the same show. But that's what I talked about when I was like, if there's a popular show, China or Korea or whoever might copy it, that this is a perfect version. Korea made this first. China found it. I think China made like 6 or 7 seasons, and Jackson Wayne was a host of it for a really long time, or like a panelist or something. He was on it for a long time. That show, I love this show. I'm really glad we're getting a revival because I'm really curious what they're gonna do. Last show I'm going to mention is one that I like kind of stumbled upon too. And this really goes towards my strategy of finding casts and finding a show that a cast would go on. And it's called Young Actors Retreat. It's on Viki. And again, it's just kind of the same concept where you take a group of people and you stick them in a house and they kind of just hang out and have fun. And in this case, the show took 3 different casts. And I want to say, I can't remember the dramas they were in. One was the singing show with Ji Chang-wook, the magician one. My God, it's slipping my mind. I'm going to have to look it up. Hold on. Sound of Magic. They took the cast of Love in the Moonlight, Itaewon Class, and The Sound of Magic and stuck them in a house together, and they lived there for 2 weeks or something, and they basically just hung out and cooked food together, but then also played games and competed against each other. And the whole reason why they picked these 3 casts is because they had the same director. It was kind of celebrating this director by taking these 3 casts and putting together in a house. This was so entertaining. I loved the show. I actually had only watched, when I watched this, I think I had only watched 2 of the 3 dramas. I knew the cast, obviously. If you're a drama watcher, you would recognize the cast, but I hadn't even watched all the dramas. But some of these cast members at the time of the show happening had never worked together. You had some of these cast members who knew each other from their own drama, but had never actually worked with the other people from the other casts. We had a lot of cool interactions between them. They also competed against each other. You get to learn more about the actors and their personalities, how competitive they might have been. You get fun interactions, whether they're on the cast together or whether they're meeting them for the first time. You get moments of comedy, but also you get actors who've been acting for a really long time and newer actors kind of asking them for advice. It was an unexpected delight that I pretty much walked into. I didn't know much about it. I kind of was, oh, you have a variety show with a bunch of actors on it. That's cool. Let me click play. I highly recommend Young Actors Retreat. It's really a fun time. But that's it. That is my list for my updated list for reality shows, variety shows. I really want to watch more. I plan to watch more. There's so many. Heart Signal, for example, so many seasons I haven't even watched. There's definitely some other romance shows that I know were popular from this year that I haven't watched yet, like Siblings Romance, I think it was, something like that. I also really want to watch more Chinese variety shows. I watch a lot of Korean ones, but some Chinese ones, half the ones I don't really know what they are. I kind of just stumble upon them. Like Heart Signal I know, but I know there's multiple other ones I have had on my list to watch for a while. A detective one that I just need to click play on at this point. But I hope this is helpful. I hope this list gives you some ideas. If you want more recommendations, if you want to ask questions, please DM me, please comment, please let me know if this is helpful for you. Are you a variety show watcher? Are you a reality TV show watcher? If you're not, are you going to try one of these? Have you tried these? Have you watched any of them? Please comment, DM me, find me on all the socials. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. I hope you really like this list, but that is my list for favorite variety shows. I'm probably going to do a part 3 eventually because I always want to watch more of these. I know there's many gay ones I haven't watched yet, like His Man. If you like my Break with Variety show series, please recommend me some shows you want me to watch too. Like I will be down to do reviews of them and watch them, or other countries, Let me know what you think. Give me things you might want my opinion on or want me to watch. I know I have like Ginny's Kitchen on my list I need to watch still. I know I know it's kind of like a sin that I haven't watched that yet. But thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under the username NoSleep4Dramas. That is no sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.NoSleep4Dramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.